Hey, the council's back. Yeah, so episode 4 came out, and I was trying to figure out where the hell to fit this in my schedule and when to return to this, because that's the issue with playing an episodic game with 5 episodes, is you need to find an opening in your schedule to play it 5 separate times, which isn't always an easy thing to do. And while I was still trying to find a time to actually come back and play it for the for the 4th time, now the 5th episode's out already, so I guess we're ready just to finish it. Sure. All right. I wasn't sure what slot to put it in because I'm not always sure about putting it in the puzzle slot, because it's kind of a puzzle game and it's kind of an adventure game, and that is stuff I play in the puzzle slot. But the puzzly and adventure-y stuff is pretty low compared to a lot of just like dialogue and so on. So I wasn't sure about that, but hey, the current Patreon game is Fez, so there's a puzzle game anyway. It'll probably end before this game will, so it still doesn't work. Listen, I tried. Click. Hey there. I need to pick what to equip. I feel like... I mean, I just that and that. Those are my only options, right? At this point, my equip cap is now higher than how many I can actually take with me in the first place. So I'm getting +1 point of logic and one of linguistics, sorry. These can't be equipped until I get the last page of each of them. And we've got a decent number of the books found already, like the ones that are planned for the entire game. Which is interesting, because we're only 3/5 of the way through the game, but we're way more than 3/5 of the way through that, evidently. Character? Do I have points to spend? I do not. Okay. Talents. There's a lot going on around there. Sure. Spacebar.
I sense that Mr. Peru is about to surprise us too.
I believed in him. I followed him to the best of my ability. I championed his ideas, defended his decisions, and then, without even realizing it, I became lost.
Now that I've told you everything, you want to take my place, do you? No. I am Emily. You are wasting your time. Louis knows very well how to tell us apart.
Someone had the bang coming from the Duchess's room, and she isn't answering.
Louis, you really must learn to conceal your weaknesses better, if you don't want your foes to use them against you.
Our desire is to steer the destiny of our respective countries for the good of all, and to no longer suffer the random hazards of history.
It is the natural order of things, Monsieur de Richet. There have always been men who govern other men. That is simply the way it is.
History forgets them with a disconcerting facility. No one speaks about them, and yet they whisper in the ears of kings and presidents.
Okay. Okay. I wasn't sure, like, is it stuck? It's interesting to go back to this, because we just played Cthulhu. Whoa. That would have fit with the visuals of the Cthulhu game. Oh.
But where are we?
I don't know, but we better not hang around.
Burning bridges. So we just played Call of Cthulhu on this channel, which is the same publisher, and weirdly enough had almost the exact same systems, but shallower, basically. It had the thing where you had like 6 skills, whereas this game you have too many to remember the number of off the top of my head, as far as like the different skills and stuff. And you have chances to upgrade them manually, but also behaviors that you take can upgrade some of them on the, like while you're playing and so on. But it didn't have this conversation system. It had the part where you had skills that affected whether or not you could do certain options, and maybe a dice roll was happening, more like a traditional RPG, maybe. But this game has a much more involved dialogue system, which is probably the best feature of the game, is this system of like having those 4 resources. Like you have your primary resource, and then I guess I should turn my controller on. I couldn't remember whether I played this game with controller or keyboard and mouse last time, or the last 3 episodes, but I'm looking at that those consumables in the corner of the screen. I'm like, those used to be a D-pad. I remember now. There we go. Haha. Okay. Yeah, now it all makes sense to me. Otherwise I was gonna panic. I'm like, I don't know how to activate those, but now I'm like, yes, okay, D-pad, we got this. But I really learned to appreciate, by comparison, what this game does well by playing Cthulhu, which seems to not do it well. In particular, that game, the impact of your decisions was often hard to appreciate, like whether you even were making choices that affected anything or whether your skills were affecting stuff at all. Whereas here we just have a very direct thing where I have a meter down there. That meter affects my performance in everything and whether or not I can even continue to function. If I let that deplete, the episode will continue on at all costs, despite me not being able to do whatever I want to do, and that's the thing I have to worry about. And meanwhile, making different choices that have different costs based on how many points I had on and so on. And there's a lot this game does well. You know, when it's not showing a modern periodic table of alchemy that was made as maybe a joke that had a URL on it. Those kinds of mistakes. I wonder if they went back and changed that. Let's see. I think I looked back and they changed it, didn't they? Let's see. I mean, always use my points, right? If it doesn't seem like it's going to cost me or do anything bad.
Be careful, Mother. As if me saying that will make any difference. Knowing Mortimer, I wouldn't be surprised if he rigged his crypt with traps.
So you think the door is not enough?
Do you want to wager your other hand?
You've got a point there. We have to find that weapon. What do you know about the Holy Lance, Louis?
The what?
The Lance of Longinus the Centurion.
Yes, the centurion that pierced the side of Christ with his lance. That weapon naturally became a holy relic.
Exactly.
Seriously? You don't really believe that fable, do you?
Every fable is founded on true events. I'm not saying that everything adds up, but imagine if it really did exist.
Very well. Now what?
Well, now you know what you need to find.
Pardon?
I have to get to the wharf to prepare our departure. Let's get off this cursed island as quickly as we can. We shall come back when we are ready and armed.
But hang on.
Louis, let's first get to safety. We shall come back when we have the upper hand. Fear not. You take care of getting the lance. It's imperative. I'll take care of preparing our departure.
Hang on. At least tell me everything you know about this lance.
But I have never seen it. There's nothing else I can say, Louis. Well, you can always go snooping around Mortimer's study. I remember seeing paintings of Longinus there.
Hang on a second.
What's the matter?
Why did you shoot Emily's sister?
Do you really think now is the right time for this?
I want to know, Mother. Why did you betray her?
Listen, Louis, I don't think you've really understood my interest in the Al-Azif. It's not just simple curiosity about some old relic.
You tried to kill her.
And I had no choice, for crying out loud. It must not fall into the hands of the demons, or we are all doomed, don't you see? Listen, I don't know exactly what it contains, but I prefer to be one step ahead. If they want it, there must be a reason. And even if I don't know what it is, I want to stop them for safety's sake, no matter what.
Nothing will stop you if I understand correctly. Not
Enough, Louis. If you could see the extent of their power as I do, then you would understand what I'm saying.
All right, we'll do it your way.
One more thing. If they find you in possession of the lance, they won't let you get away with it. Choose only one and hide it under your jacket so you don't get caught with it. Then run and meet me on the wharf.
And if I get caught?
If they catch you in possession of the lance, we're all doomed. Do you understand?
Perfectly.
Good. And go talk to Piaggi. He's the one who probably knows the most about this.
I must find the Holy Lance. Yeah, having a missing hand is a really big giveaway of the fact that somebody tried to break into this particular vault, isn't it? Like, hey, you used to have a hand before. I happen to know of a place where someone would lose a hand.
I can see that this lance has a so-called leaf shape. It is made entirely of iron. I can see that the tip is engraved with the symbol of the sun.
Oh god, take only one?
I can see that this lance has the characteristic shape of a spear. It is made of iron, and its tip is engraved with a cross.
How many of them are just lying around? Whoa.
A fragment of amber.
Hey! Always a big find. What are my items again? Oh yeah, there you go. Cures negatives, cool. Which including the overdose of using too many of these things. This shows the vulnerabilities, that gives me more effort points, and that makes the next skill free. There we go. Handy little tooltips. Look at this location. Oh my god. Is this the lost city of Denis? Like, what the... How far down did we come? I don't think the mountain of this island was even that tall. Unless this is open air that's just behind the mountain. I'm assuming this is all supposed to be an underground cavern, which is for some reason very bright and up there. What in the world? Wait. That building in the background doesn't make any sense. The order of deposition there would be like the building existed first and then somehow a rock pillar generated through the building. Like, unless magic is going to show up that generates rock pillars, the building would come after the rock pillar. Because basically all geology ever pre-exists human interaction, especially stuff on that scale. So they would have built the building around the rock, but they clearly, the rock somehow went through the building, which is like, what? But also there's that, which like that doesn't seem to make sense as far as I can tell. That's just, they're just being occult about it. Are they just being Lovecrafty and just doing like nonsensical geometries for the sake of it, I guess? They're using this structure over and over again. It's weird. Whenever you have something that's a bunch of horizontal planes like that of various levels of thickness and protrusion and crevices and whatnot, that's usually it's usually deposited by just like, it's just sedimentary deposits basically. The back and forth of different layers usually is something more akin to like the rising and falling of the water level of, say, an ocean or a lake or a river, which means that the amount of sediment being carried would be changing. A low energy river would carry silt, a high energy river could carry sand or even cobbles and so on. So the grain size leads to different densities of rock, which leads to different layers poking out at different amounts because of how the coarser stones tend to be more resistant to erosion, and the finer silts tend to be more easy to erode, which is why you get these jagged edges. But that would just be a vertical column. How the vertical column even exists in the first place is confusing. Like, maybe they cut their way around it on purpose when they were making this cavern, because I don't think this cavern would just leave a weird column like that just sticking out. But then the these archways are like next level impossible. They don't even make sense internally, because like right there, right here in the middle area, you can see all of the rock layers are perfectly horizontal. Then they just are abruptly 45 degrees with no transition period. Like, they wouldn't really ever arch like this in the first place in real life, but here they straight up, like, for no reason just are toppled over. Like, every chunk of it goes and changes by like 45 degrees. It's just like a bunch of assets jammed together, basically, video gamey. Not to mention that, like, that's the same rock column as that. And like, these are not stalactites and stalagmites. Those are caused by dripping water and would not create such a specific, like, layering to it. When you have enough verticality for the water dropping, it would eventually create more of like a spatter than a perfect cone, as we're used to seeing for stalactites and stalagmites. Well, for the bottom part, at least, not the top one, because it wouldn't matter for the top one. But they wouldn't create these perfect horizontal sedimentary layers. Like, that wouldn't make any sense. But whenever you see an arch like this, usually it's like a lava tube or something like that, or some kind of resistant stone that would have been eroded away in such a pattern. But like those kinds of erosionary patterns I don't think really fit a cavern, and the stone wouldn't look like that for sure if it was like a lava tube or something. I don't know. The setting's kind of noise. Honestly, the takeaway is probably that and a AA developer wanted to quickly make an epic looking large area, so they, oh yeah, there's just a lot of copy paste. Like those bridges are the same bridge repeating over and over again, and this is the same rock pillar repeating, just resized a lot. That's the same building repeating here and there. You're supposed to not look at it, but I want to look at it because it's the geology of the cavern. So there's there's two spears over there. This is why I need to talk to Pyagi, right? Because I need to talk to Pyagi about what the Holy Lance looks like. Because if I don't know what the Holy Lance looks like, I'm just going to take the wrong one. Is there only the two? Or are there more, like, deeper down? Yeah, I'm waiting for them to pull out some Lovecraft stuff for crazy rituals that magically formed this impossible cave. Because look at these columns. With those, and they have those things on top of them. Like, this place doesn't work. This is an impossible location. Also, holy crap! If we just, I almost walked off, didn't I? I don't know if you can. Even ignoring the geologic level of this stuff, like, how is a cavern this big physically fitting on this island? Like, what the fuck? everything around me made some level of sense until now, I think. Admittedly, the mega vault that they hide their stuff in was like, whoa, dude. You have a giant arm cutting off vault that's designed to make us, to punish people for not solving a not easy, but not incredibly hard, moon phase puzzle? Also, why are you hiding your secrets behind puzzles? Why do people always make this mistake in video games?
Flavius Aetius.
Of course, the answer is so the player can solve it. But these people are supposed to be geniuses in universe usually, and they're like, they hide their stuff behind solvable puzzles instead of like a password. I've got so many ways of having zero-cost ways of learning the things.
Flavius Aetius, the one they call the last of the Rome. He was assassinated by his own emperor, who was jealous of all his victories. But how did he end up here? Flavius Aetius. I remember. He was the Roman general who defeated Attila and his hordes in the terrible battle of the Catalonian plains. Flavius Aetius, the one they call the last of the Romans. He was assassinated by his own emperor, who was jealous of all his victories. But how did he end up here? Flavius Aetius. It was cut a long time ago. You could tell by the rough hacks of the tool and the patina of the stone. This sarcophagus is very ancient. I'd say it's several centuries old.
You look at that hand-carved name on it. Look at this place. It's like a Dark Souls level. The sarcophagus was important enough to bring here, like the other ones evidently, but it has no name. Is it intentionally a hidden name? Okay, there seems to be an invisible wall, but I'm still a little worried that I might just go careening off. Hello.
We can see that this lance has a leaf shape, and, well, it's in gold. I can see that a crucifix is engraved on the tip, just barely visible.
It's a leaf, it's gold, and it has a crucifix. Keep that in mind for later to see if those turn out to be the 3 clues. I'm somewhat inclined to think this might be it just because it's so weirdly in a very missable spot where the other ones were right at the beginning, but there might be so many along the way here. Although if one of them's the important one, you'd hope it would be not kept just on the floor somewhere. This place is huge.
Let's take a look at this lance here. It has a very special leaf shape. It is copper rimmed, and I can see a fish symbol engraved on the tip.
Admittedly, I may not be able to commit these to memory. Okay, yeah, there's a lot of them. We're gonna skip on them for now. Until I talk to Pyagi about which one it might be. Because there's so many. So I'll grab any resources I can find, which will help me with... Oops. But I saw something down here. Nope. I saw the light rock down there. I'm like, is that one of those pieces of amber in this game? I want to see what other things there are to find here. Resources and maybe even a book. Or just weird sarcophagi that might mean something.
The sarcophagus of Lord Mortimer.
Excuse me?
It's the only sarcophagus in this crypt which appears to bear the Mortimer family name. What ancestor can it be? There's no inscription. Let's see what we can find here.
Ho ho ho. That's gonna be expensive.
It's the only sarcophagus in this crypt which appears to bear the Mortimer family name. What ancestor can it be? There's no inscription. Let's see what we can find here. It's far too heavy. I'm not going to be able to do it on my own.
But what if I discover an ancient secret? Ooh. Oh, there's another one here. There's so many spears. Why do you have so many spears scattered about in such a bizarre way? What? It's open.
There's sarcophagus
what?
of Lord Mortimer.
It was just open. I saw it. Wait. All right. Well, now I have to.
Let's see what we can find here. Ha! Great. Now let's see what's inside.
Bunch of royal jelly, apparently. Saying since it keeps saying I got more. And amber fragments? Apparently got more amber fragments on top of more royal jelly. Oh yeah, it's filled up.
There's sarcophagus of Lord
It's closed
Mortimer.
again?
Let's see what we can find here.
What the What?
Ha! Great. Now let's see what's inside.
Alright, I guess that's it. I mean, now I feel justified, like, overanalyzing the environment and being all, like, picking it apart and stuff, because what is this? You just throw a sarcophagus at me that has the name of, like, the central villain, maybe? Or whatever you want to call him. And I open it up, and my character just walks away, and a bunch of notifications come up like, oh, you got an amber fragment, and nothing else. He has nothing to say about it. You can't interact with it again. Every time you click on it, it magically recloses. Also, when I didn't open it, it magically opened anyway. Visually, even though he didn't acknowledge that. So, like, he doesn't find anything story relevant inside, or even, like, comment on how it's empty, or anything. He just opens it and then he walks away, and some pop-ups just say that I got amber fragments and jelly. Ooh. Like, that's not... If that's all you got, you're better off deleting that sarcophagus, I feel like, or don't let me open it. That's like such a frustrating way to handle the storytelling of me opening a sarcophagus of Lord Mortimer. Not even him acknowledging that it's empty or being like, oh, must be waiting for when he dies or something. It's just like, oh, let's just loot the stuff inside here. They went as far as having loot inside of it, and also to have me have a talent called Vandal. No, trait. Yeah, gain 1 point agility. You pillaged Lord Mortimer's tomb. Like they made a trait for it and gave me loot, but no dialogue, no story. But it's like it's a finding that is like pregnant with story connotations, and that's not what they chose to follow up on. They just followed up on making sure I get a trait and some loot for clicking on it. It just feels undeveloped. That just seems sloppy. I cannot read that.
The sarcophagus has been ravaged by time. It's sort of ageless, I get. It's entirely sculpted.
I'm not skipping the dialogue, by the way. That's just... they cut off weird sometimes. I think that happened in the previous episodes, too. I don't think those roots would just grow through the rock like that. Like, it just looks like the roots from the environment are awkwardly clipping through the sarcophagus. Because, like, roots crack rock. Like, when roots come out of a... like, most people have seen tree roots come out of, like, a sidewalk or something, or interfere with the sidewalk in some way. And what happens is the sidewalk splits. You don't just have a root that magically burrows its way out of the sidewalk. Like it was clipping through like a video game asset.
Is this the tomb of a king? Judging by all the sculpted symbols of power, this is really ancient. The inscriptions are all eroded. I don't know what those marks mean, but maybe a stone or epitaph. These symbols, these grooves, cuneiform script. This is humanity's oldest alphabet, the language of Babel. Sadly, no one today even knows how to decipher it. There's also some text engraved beneath in ancient Greek. Sargon.
Sargon? Is that the correct jargon?
Honey, I couldn't have hoped for better.
Hey, right with the moment I got rid of my previous one. Okay, yeah, so there's a lot of them, actually. I was thinking rule of threes when I found 2 on a shelf and then 1 out in the middle of nowhere. So I was like, oh, this is probably the one, because it's weirdly discarded. So that'd be like the surprise solution, usually. But no, there's like 10 of them. So yeah, I'm gonna need the specific list from Pyagi of what the spear is like before I try to grab one and run for the docks, apparently. That'll be interesting. So this is the final third of the chapters, too. In that we previously played, what, 11 chapters? And this is, or something like that, and we're in like the last 6 now. This place goes for a while. I'll grab what I can, though. It'll help me convince Pyagi and other people if I have the right resources.
This sarcophagus is engraved with the name of Clemens III. Good God! The one whose cross allowed me to enter. That was the Pope from the Middle Ages who inspired the Third Crusade. He gave the Roman people the power to elect their magistrates. He was basically an anti-pope. His path to the throne was pretty turbulent, and he had to be enthroned several times. The result of a long conflict between the papacy and the Holy Empire. Clemens III, Clément III in French. How come his tomb ended up here and not in the Vatican? This sarcophagus is beautifully made, but ancient. The stone is marked by the passage of time, but it's really well preserved.
I'm interested in why the pronunciations of his Odysseus are so different from what is visibly on it. Like the thing says Clement, but he says Clemens. And I'm curious about that. I'm not saying it's wrong, because I have no idea. Hello. Does this go nowhere? Oh, another spear. Keep that one in mind for later. It's one of those extra suspicious ones because it's so out of the way. I don't make the comparison haphazardly either. This is the type of location that absolutely looks like a Dark Souls level. I feel like I can think of like 3 different levels of Dark Souls that are actually like really visually similar to some elements of this.
This one has no name. I wonder who it was for.
What's that trade for? Checking every sarcophagus? Codiphile. You've explored all the tombs in the crypt. 1 point in erudition. See? That's how you get your points. It's important. They're all in here somewhere. So a lot of these are level 2 now. You're the closest one to level 3, but really the mountain to climb to get to level 3 is so high that I've just been making everything level 2 instead. But we're going to be there soon. And so maybe something like my original skills of subterfuge and manipulation might reach level 3 into anything else I can get there via books and stuff. Right now I need, what is it, 3 points in linguistics. Thankfully one of the books I'm reading also goes into that. And then 2 points in agility, which I might be able to make it that far the next time I level. I wonder why he only questioned one of the unmarked graves. Because the other one he was like, it's unmarked. No reason to remark on this one. To give it credit, at first glance, it's a really nice visual. The silhouettes and the color contrast and everything. Just the rocks themselves where I'm like, hang on a minute. No. Whoa. That's not graceful at all. Kudos for how it's one continuous environment you can see over there and through here and everything, but you teleport across this hallway? Jesus Christ. That's weird. Yeah, I get why it's happening. The engine can't handle all this environment at once, so that's not the room I was just in. It's the entryway is still there, but then it's just there's vague silhouettes of rocks, which are just probably two-dimensional images and so on, so that there's not much going on there. And I guess kind of neat how there doesn't seem to actually be need for a loading screen, but holy crap, that is an instantaneous dump.
Golden elixir. I'll keep it for later.
You just end up over here so abruptly without any kind of transition screen. Somehow, I don't know, it's one of those, it's a weird thing where like I think a loading screen would actually be better. Not even if it's not a real loading screen, just a small like fade to black transition would be somehow less jarring than instantly teleporting across a hallway when in universe there seems to be no reason for it. These are just all the stories for behind how I got here, and there's the blood of my mother. A nail? One of the nails used to open the crypt door. Okay. We're doing great on resources, by the way. Especially since Carmelite water is like the least used one, and that's the only one that I'm not basically at cap on. I basically usually use Carmelite water to cure the fact that I've overused the other ones. Alright, let's go find Pyagi.